Thank you. Bow our heads, please. Lord, we thank you for this day. We ask that you will just give us the discernment and the wisdom as we make decisions moving forward for our city. We ask that you will bless all those who are hungry, who are hopeless, and who are homeless. Bless those healthcare workers who put their lives on the line for us to make sure that we're healthy. Bless those who protect and serve us. Please continue to watch over them and their families. Continue to bless this country as we move forward. In your son's name, amen.
We'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, would you please call the roll?
Councilwoman Fugit.
Here.
Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Here.
Councilwoman Parker.
Here.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Here.
Councilman Roberto.
Here.
Councilman Singh.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Testman.
Here.
And Councilman Thomas.
Here.
All present, Mayor.
Okay. Next item is approval of minutes from December 1st. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve the
Second.
minutes by Vice Mayor McKenzie, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Smith. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder.
Yes.
Councilman Roberto.
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh.
Yes.
Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Councilman Testman.
Yes.
Councilman Thomas.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Fugit.
Yes.
Okay. All right, the minutes are approved. Next item is item 5. Council members, are there any agenda items that you wish to withdraw? Okay, are there any agenda items you wish to postpone? How about any items that you would like to add?
Mayor, excuse me, I'd like to request or move that agenda item 12G be heard on emergency.
Okay, item 12G be heard on emergency. Okay, there's a motion made to hear item 12G on emergency.
Mayor, I believe we would normally do that in the regular order of
When
business.
it gets to that agenda item.
All right,
I'm
so
sorry. Well,
preview for
anxious.
things that are going to happen later today. Will there be a motion
Something to look forward to.
to hear that on an emergency? Any items to be added by motion? Okay, are there items on consent? And if so, are there any items on consent? I don't think.
No, ma'am. There are
Okay.
none.
I don't need a motion on that. We can move right to the mayor's report. Okay, it's good to see everybody. First, the statement I've been sharing the last few months, as allowed by Governor Lee's executive orders in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, unless I hear objection, I'm going to rule that by acclamation. Council agrees that this meeting is being conducted electronically in order to protect the public health. All right, seeing no objections, let's move forward to the mayor's report. So believe it or not, tonight is our last city council meeting of 2020, and what a year it has been. I just want to say in public and in front of all of you, even though it's not in person, I'm really, really grateful for all of council's hard work this year. Your perseverance, your commitment to serving the people of Knoxville, especially during this exceptionally challenging year, has been tremendous. And I really appreciate your partnership and hard work and adaptability. So thank you for that. As you know, part of this difficult year has been our pandemic that we've been experiencing along with people around the globe. Right here in Knox County, over 24,000 people have been infected by the coronavirus. As of today, 223 residents of our county have died of this disease. And there are another 122 residents in the hospital right now. We've had a record number of cases in recent weeks and a record number just in the last few days. And these are somber reminders of the toll the pandemic is having in our community. We're experiencing a surge right now. It's a post-Thanksgiving surge. And so I encourage you all to use your platforms to continue to encourage people to avoid crowded places and practice the 5 core actions and all the things that we've been encouraging all along, but now more than ever. So let's keep all those battling this ugly virus in our thoughts, and let's remember that we can all play a role in slowing this current spike. So I'm also on a happier note, really proud of how resilient Knoxville has been in this last year. Across our community, leaders have risen to the challenges in front of them, and Knoxville is no exception. The city of Knoxville has been able to keep all of our services intact. We avoided furloughs and layoffs, and we kept our doors open to serve our residents and local businesses. At the same time, we've been responding to people in need in our community, and we collectively face this pandemic by helping families make rent and mortgage payments, providing shelter and services to those experiencing homelessness, investing in job training, supporting local nonprofits, and so much more. We also managed to accomplish a lot to advance our priorities that are our priorities pre-pandemic and still continue to be our priorities even in the middle of the pandemic. And those are public safety, healthy and connected neighborhoods, a clean and resilient future, thriving businesses and good jobs, and good governance. I want to share a few of the highlights because sometimes it's easy to focus on some of the challenges we face, but I want to show, highlight at this end of this year some of the many good things that we've accomplished together. We've invested another $7.5 million in affordable housing. We started an HR department. We funded and are starting to put in the field body cameras for our Knoxville Police Department. We are committed to rethinking public safety. We revised the code of conduct for KPD and use of force policy, and we launched the new co-response team pilot. We launched and have attended and participated in the Mayor's Climate Council to chart a path toward achieving our sustainability goals. We're moving forward on the urban wilderness plan and exciting new amenities at Creek. We made improvements at a number of parks across our city, Cal Johnson, Danny Mayfield, Paul Hogue, and many more. We repaved almost 40 miles of roads in the city of Knoxville, completed multiple traffic calming upgrades to keep neighborhoods safe, improved how residents can request city services, launched the chatbot, and we are soon to launch a new 311 online tool. So I could go on, and I'm really proud of the team that's been working on this, but we also have a long agenda. So I just want to thank you all for pushing through and working hard during possibly the most difficult year in modern history. So just on that note, one thing I'm also proud of is this council has always been able to have healthy dialogue, and I want to just encourage that to continue tonight. I think it's vital that we do have a lot more common ground than not, both as a council and as a city and as a broader community. So before we move on to the rest of our agenda, I want to encourage everyone. We have a lot of people signed up to speak both during public forum and to particular agenda items. So I want to encourage everyone to maintain civility and decorum throughout the meeting. We have a long agenda and everyone deserves equal respect. Personal attacks and profanity will not be allowed. So that's it for my mayor's report tonight. And without further ado, we'll go on to reports of council members or committees. Any reports from council members? Councilmember Thomas.
Yes, thanks largely to the efforts of Legacy Parks. The city residents of Knoxville have 42 more acres of green space and wilderness to enjoy. This is up in North Knoxville. It's on the north side of Sharps Ridge. It includes about 2 miles of trails, playground equipment, and also it's configured in such a way that it's suitable for people of all abilities and all ages. We had a nice ribbon cutting about 2 weeks ago. The mayor was there. Several of my colleagues were able to make it. And so I just would invite everyone to enjoy this. And the address is at 3750 Tiberius Road. And it's a blessing in one way that we have so much outdoors during this time, because it is a way that we can remain healthy and stay safe at the same time during this tough period we're going through. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Thomas. Councilmember Ryder.
Yeah, just to clarify, because at the last meeting I had a different date The audit committee has changed its meeting date due to the increase of COVID and the Board of Health's order to have meetings no more of 10 people. The audit committee is going to meet on Tuesday, December 22nd at 2:45 p.m. It will be airing on CTV, and it will be a Zoom meeting following the same orders that allow us to meet here via Zoom. This is a meeting that we have to have prior to the end of the fiscal year, or the calendar year. So again, that's Tuesday, December 22nd, 2:45 p.m. One other thing I wanted to highlight, I know there are a lot of nonprofits that are hurting due to COVID. And so number one, I'd just like to encourage everyone to donate to those and maybe consider that in lieu of other things you might give, or in honor of family members, or in honor of friends or family that are no longer with you, to kind of highlight some of the nonprofits that might be missing funds at this time in 2020, as challenging as it's been. And specifically, I want to point out one successful initiative that got started that's on the Office of Neighborhoods website. A member of the Neighborhood Advisory Council, Morgan Wilson, initiated the idea to have a virtual food drive, and it's been incredibly successful. So they've raised the goals and increased the length of time. It was only supposed to go just past Thanksgiving, but there's 10 more days. You could register a neighborhood if you want to be one of the neighborhoods competing, but there are a number of neighborhoods competing in that right now, and the increased goal is almost met, but this goes through Christmas Day. So if you want to contribute, it's virtual, so you just go to the website and you can find that on the Office of Neighborhoods website for the city of Knoxville and contribute to that. And I just appreciate all the neighborhoods that have partnered together and contributed to that.
Thank you, Councilmember Ryder. Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Yes, Mayor, I just want to make a quick announcement that tomorrow at 3:30, streaming on the Knox County's website, will be a legislative joint meeting hosted by Senator Briggs, Knox County Commissioner Chair Larson Jane Farragut, Vice Mayor Povlin, and myself, along with Knoxville hospital partners from Children's Hospital, Tenova, Covenant, and UT Hospital, to discuss COVID impacts. They'll be giving updates on where we are with hospital capacity, what we can expect in the future, vaccines and next steps, and there'll also be a Q&A session. So I would encourage anyone that has an interest in hearing from these hospital officials to please join in. I think all of my colleagues have received an invite, a Zoom invite as well. And so I just want to encourage everyone to please continue to practice the 5 core safety actions and to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor McKenzie. So that's tomorrow at 3:30, and it's also going to be streamed for members of the public to watch as well. Any other reports from council members? Okay, moving along. Mr. Johnson, would you please read 8A?
8A is a resolution of the Council of the City of Knoxville expressing support for the mayor's appointment of Elena McCassick, Brent Wall, Philip Hips, Brianna Holloway, and the reappointment of Emma Ellis Kosigua, thank you, to the Neighborhood Advisory Council, and expressing appreciation to Jennifer Reynolds, Matt McMillan, Ann White, and Derek Tate for their years of service on the Neighborhood Advisory Council.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Councilmember Smith, seconded by Councilmember Roberto. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman?
Yes.
Councilman Thomas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit?
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKenzie?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker?
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder?
Yes.
Councilman Roberto?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Singh?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item, please.
8B is a resolution of the Council of the City of Knoxville re-electing Susan Brown and electing Keith Garrett to serve as members of the Industrial Development Board of the City of Knoxville.
Move to approve.
Motion made and approved by Councilmember Testerman, seconded by Councilmember Fugit. Councilmember Singh, did you have a question or were you seconding?
No, seconding.
I just want to thank Susan Brown for her continued service and thank Keith Garrett for being willing to serve on this. They both are here at our meeting. If anyone has any questions for them, if we were in person, I would ask them to stand and we could thank them in that way, but we'll do our best here on Zoom. So thank you for taking the time, not just to be here tonight, but to serve on this important board. Any further questions or comments from council members? Okay, seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Parker.
I
We
think the
couldn't hear.
mute didn't come all the way off, Councilmember Parker. Now try again. I couldn't hear, but I could tell she said yes. I mean,
Is it really quiet? Can
now we can hear you.
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
thank you. Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Next item, please.
8C is a resolution of the Council of the City of Knoxville re-electing Susan Brown and electing Keith Garrett to serve as members of the Industrial Development Board of the City of Knoxville for the Downtown Cinema Incorporated.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made to approve by Councilmember Testerman, seconded by Councilmember Ryder. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
and Councilman Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0. Next item.
8D is a resolution confirming the reappointment of Sandy Boer and Chris Crouch to the, and the appointment of Ashley Osborne to the Knoxville Transportation Authority Board.
Move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made to approve by Vice Mayor McKenzie, seconded by, who's that? Councilmember Thomas. Any questions or discussion? Okay, seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Fugit.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0. Next item, please.
8E is a resolution appointing Lynn Fugit as the City Council's representative on the City Pension Board.
Move to approve.
Motion
Second.
made to approve by Vice Mayor McKenzie, seconded by Councilmember Roberto. Ms. Fugit, maybe you need to recuse yourself, but I just appreciate that I've worked on the pension board with you this current year, and I appreciate your willingness to continue serving another year. Any questions or discussion?
For it, we can.
What's that?
If anybody wants to arm wrestle me for it, we can. Otherwise, I will recuse myself.
Okay,
And I appreciate your confidence.
thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
and Councilman Thomas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit recuses.
Motion carries 8-0. Congratulations. Next item, please.
9A is an ordinance to amend the operating and capital budgets for fiscal year 2020, 2021.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve. Was that Councilmember Testerman?
Ryder.
Was it Ryder? Sorry. Councilmember Ryder moved to approve. Who seconded it? Anyone? Councilmember Smith and Roberto raised their hand. Any discussion or questions?
I had a question.
Okay, Councilmember Parker.
There was an email that we received with some updated numbers, and I was wondering if we could share that information on this call. Came from David Brace, if David Brace is available.
Yeah, David Brace, are you available? I see his.
I am.
Okay.
Sorry.
I've seen a lot of emails this last few days, so remind me if you could update council and the public on this email, please.
Ms. Councilwoman Parker, remind me, I send a lot of emails. Which email was this that you're referring to?
This was giving updated numbers on the unassigned fund balance and reserve.
Okay. Yes, that was a lengthy email. So I do not have it pulled up, but the synopsis is per code, we keep a certain percentage of our bank account filled with dollars that we can cash flow, and it's about 46 million, and Ms. Janot can jump in. That is what the 20% by code that we keep in reserves in fund balance, which really helps us cash flow. It gives us protection because we have revenues that come in annually, tax revenues that come in throughout the year in our property taxes. So we keep that 20% in the bank. Then we have some dollars above and beyond that. And I believe the number right now is about 19 million as of June 30th. And again, Ms. Janot can jump in, of unassigned
That is correct.
fund balance. Thank you, of unassigned fund balance. And so when rating agencies look at us for our debt and for bonding, they like to see, obviously, policies in place, the 20%. And then they also like to see a certain number above the unassigned fund, the assigned fund balance. And so right now that number is about 15 million. So we've got 19, they like to see about 15 million. Again, so you're not constantly tapping into your reserves. There's some cushion there. And so again, I can pull the email up directly, but that's the summary of municipal budgeting, which is the 20% by code that we have in the bank that helps us cash flow. We do have some above that called unassigned, but a portion of that are rating agencies like to see that as well. And so does that answer your question?
Yes, and one other thing I wanted to clarify is that the budget we passed anticipated that we would have to use around 11 million in our fund balance, and we expected to have 6 million at the end of this budget year in our unassigned fund balance.
So we have projections, obviously, and that number that we talked about is as of June 30. I think what's important to know is, yes, at the end of the year, we could come out higher than anticipated based on one-time COVID dollars and based on tax revenues to date have been a little better. We don't know what January, February, and March are going to look like if we move into this dark winter. So yes, we'll see where those numbers come in. I think it is very important to note that and this was in the budget presentation, our current revenues are now being outpaced by our expenses. And so if we went another budget year or two with our current operating budget and our current capital, we would draw down that unassigned fund balance very, very quickly and start getting to a point where things would be concerning from a bond rating agency perspective. But yes, you're right. Because of those COVID dollars at this point, and our projections are better than anticipated, we would hope that that fund balance, the unassigned fund balance, would be a bit higher than anticipated.
And so just the last thing I wanted to clarify is in the email, it was written in a way that you wanted to prevent any misinformation. So I wanted to make sure that I was clear on all of the information because, with anticipating using so much of the fund balance potentially based on our original projections and ending the year with 6 million in unassigned, 46 million around in the reserve, it seems like we would be underneath that 25% threshold that you discussed. And the reason I bring this up is just because I do not feel like we need to come up with a plan for how we're going to spend down our reserve because we're going through a pandemic. But I do think it's important that we are clear that we have a policy in place, but that policy allows us to use those funds to respond to natural disasters like a global pandemic. That was one thing I wanted to clarify. Can you help me clarify that?
I think that you have reserves for a number of reasons. Like anyone's budget, you want to have dollars in your savings to handle operating should you have zero revenue. And so just like, any financial advisor would say 3 to 6 months, some people even say 12 months now if you're operating in the bank, so that you can continue to cash flow and not have to take out debt to cover operating. That's just good budgeting across the board, municipal, private sector, family budgeting. So that 46 million is there to essentially help us not pay interest to operate the city. We're going to have a balanced budget. And then we have some unassigned, again, that is available to respond to needs. So you're not tapping into your reserves all the time. I would say that the global pandemic, if we had our revenues slashed by 50 or 60%, I would agree with your statement that it is time to tap into that. Because our revenues have continued to flow in at rates that we believe are higher than anticipated, and we've not seen that huge shortfall, I would disagree with you that it is time to tap into that during the pandemic. So I think that it is there for very, very serious emergency situations. You tap into that 46 billion, it would be, something catastrophic, like a major event in Oak Ridge where there was huge outages and major issues with revenue. But I do think that it is good to have, to always be aware that it's there should we need those and have no revenue coming in or have catastrophic needs to meet the safety and health of our community.
Thank you. And just to clarify, I'm not saying it's time to tap into it, but I think in moments like these, it's important that City Council understand the policies that we have in place. And that policy does not prevent us from considering that money. But I agree with your assessment that it's not time to tap into it, but it's important that we understand the policies. Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Parker. Any other questions or comments on item 9A? Okay, seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
No.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Parker.
No.
Okay, motion carries 7-2. Next item, please.
9B is an ordinance appropriating the sum of $100,000 from the community agency grants budget and donating same to the Knox Education Foundation to support its efforts to secure internet access for local K through 12 students.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Councilmember Ryder, seconded by Vice Mayor McKenzie. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
I have a
Oh,
statement.
sorry, Ms. Singh. Go ahead.
Thank you. I was just going to comment on accessibility to internet, that it's, I tried to get connected this week using some of the resources that are available out there for people who are having trouble doing that. It took me a long time, and I'm impressed that the Knox County Schools and Knox Education has navigators there to make this happen, because otherwise I'm not finding, it's not easy to do. It's not easy. We may have the services available, but to connect to them can be very, very difficult. And I still think that this is kind of patching resources together. I hope in the future that we figure out some sort of broadband plan or something that makes this a municipal utility. That's all.
I agree completely. So I agree. We're working with our KV partners to explore that. This is a stopgap measure for what, managing the best we can during the current circumstances. Any further comments or questions? Okay, please conduct a roll call vote on 9B.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit. I'm sorry,
Yes.
thank you. And Vice Mayor McKenzie
Yes.
and Councilwoman Parker.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Next item, 11A.
11A is a resolution congratulating Vice President-elect Kamala Harris.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Vice
Second.
Mayor McKenzie, seconded by Councilmember Singh. Questions or comments? Councilmember Testerman.
Just wanted to say that, I was honored to run to represent the city as a nonpartisan candidate. And I maintain that we're here to represent all constituents as a nonpartisan body. And so for that reason alone, I'll be abstaining.
Okay, Councilmember Testerman, Councilmember Singh.
Thank you. I'm not seeing this as a partisan issue. To me, it's a celebration that it took 100 years. Women got the vote 100 years ago. We finally have somebody in the top. I'm very honored and excited for. She's Indian. She's Jamaican American. Just the whole diversity. Those are the things that I am congratulating her on.
Thank you, Councilmember Singh. Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Mayor, and I guess Law Director, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there is nothing in this resolution that states anything about a political party, because that is not the intent of this resolution whatsoever. It is celebrating the fact that we are now in this country, we now have the first female vice president and the first female vice president of color. And that's what this celebration is about. So please correct me if somehow anything about a political party was listed in this resolution. Could you please point of clarification?
No, Vice Mayor, there is no designation of any political party.
Thank you.
Councilmember Ryder.
I just want to state, I understand that this might be viewed as partisan by some, but I've had friends of all political parties that have celebrated this, and then of course be challenged by people because of the partisan affiliation with the particular candidate. But what the conversation ended up, and that wasn't here and among our group, it was amongst friends of mine, is that we've had many women actually run for these offices. Geraldine Ferrara, Sarah Palin, and Hillary Clinton are some of the women that tried to attain these offices and were not able to be there, and paved the way for Kamala Harris. And one comment that was made is that it shouldn't be a discussion of whether someone's female or male. And I think we can say now that that glass ceiling is shattered, it is not a conversation point anymore. It's achieved. And now it doesn't have to be the first, because the first has been achieved and the glass ceiling is shattered. And so I appreciate Kamala Harris for achieving that for all of those women who ran before her and didn't make it. And I look forward to more women doing that. I know as a little girl, many of us women, and of course women older than me, that wasn't something you attained, you worked for. We're only on our second woman mayor. Knox County's never had a female leader. We've never had a female governor in the state of Tennessee, as well as other states. So this is shattering a glass ceiling, and I think that that's the way we look at it, and that's why I supported it. And I look forward to many, many more women running for these offices and winning them, because I don't think that that should be an issue of whether you get there or not. And I'm glad we finally gotten there. And I'll just tack on, I feel pretty impassioned about this because when I ran, I had people who actually told me they would not vote for me because I was female. I'm sorry they feel that way. And in the future, I hope that's not a discussion point, and I feel in future generations it won't be. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, Councilmember Ryder. Councilmember Parker.
Just say quickly for me, when I received the resolution, it gave me pause because I thought, would I be able to support a similar resolution for Marsha Blackburn? And my honest answer was absolutely in no way could I do it. I do think that representation is important, but I don't think it's all that matters. I do think politics matter. And I think some people, well, anyway, I don't need to go on any further, but that's the reason why I did not request to be a co-sponsor. I'm okay with supporting it, but in future, if future individuals were put forth, it might not be someone I felt comfortable supporting them, someone I felt might do more harm than good. So that was my reasoning.
Thank you, Councilmember Parker. Vice Mayor McKenzie.
Yeah. Very quickly, Mayor, I just want to state to my colleagues that I think that is what is so unique about this collective governing body, that we are nonpartisan, and we absolutely have a right to our own opinions and to be able to feel free to either support or not support anything that's on our agenda. And I do appreciate my colleagues sharing their personal perspectives on why they feel they will support versus they will not. So thank you all.
Any further questions or comments? By the way, I think I just have to say with 6 members of council being female and mayor being female, we're walking the walk as the city of Knoxville in terms of making sure people vote for just the candidate they prefer, not based on the sex of the candidates. Councilmember Fugit.
Okay, I had to get to my unmute. I wasn't going to say anything, but now I'm going to.
Okay.
I think this discussion we're having is exactly one of the reasons I'm not really wild about us presenting resolutions that don't have anything to do with the city, because it unfortunately divides us when it doesn't need to. I agree, it's a woman. I will vote for it. I'm happy it's a woman, but I really do think whether we intended to do it or not, it does make people choose sides. And that's one of the reasons I often abstain or vote no on resolutions that are not directly related to city business. So that's just why I have voted against other resolutions for this same reason, but I will support this one, but I understand the concern it causes.
Thank you, Councilmember Fugit. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, Mr. Johnson, please conduct a roll call vote.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh, Councilwoman Singh,
Sorry, yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman, you're abstaining,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Fugit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, motion carries 8 with 1 abstention, 8 in favor, 1 abstention. Moving right along, the next item, please read that for us, Mr. Johnson.
11B is the resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Fred D. Tony Thompson Jr. in the amount of $60,000 to provide governmental relations services for the city of Knoxville.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Councilmember Ryder, seconded by Vice Mayor McKenzie. Mr. Thompson is on the call. If anyone has any questions for him, I appreciate his service to the city of Knoxville and his availability and effectiveness in helping us serve the city's interest in Nashville and the General Assembly. Any other questions or comments from Mr. Thompson? Okay, seeing none, please conduct a roll call vote.
Councilwoman Ryder,
Yes.
Councilman Roberto,
Yes.
Councilwoman Singh,
Yes.
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Testerman,
Yes.
Councilman Thomas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Fugit,
Yes.
Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parker.
Yes.
This is 9 in favor, ma'am.
Okay, motion carries 9-0. Next item, please.
11th C is a resolution of the City of Knoxville authorizing the creation of the Sports Authority of the County of Knox and the City of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Vice Mayor McKenzie,
Second.
seconded by Council Member Testerman. Council members, I just want to preface our discussion on this. Let's see, sorry. I just know that many of you are excited, as am I, about the many discussions that have been happening out in the community about the prospect of baseball returning to Knoxville. We are still very early in our discussions, but forming a sports authority is a step that we can take now to open options that could potentially help us finance a sports stadium. I just want to be really clear, though, to you all and to members of the public. Establishing a sports authority does not commit the city or the county to building a sports stadium. It simply provides us a tool, and I look forward to more public discussions about how we can make baseball make sense for our community. We have several people. I'm going to ask my deputy, Stephanie Welch, to share a bit more information, and then we have a few people signed up to speak. Ms. Welch, could you address the council, please? There you are.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Council. It's great to see everyone here this evening. I know there are probably questions about this resolution, and I just wanted to maybe reiterate a little bit of what you heard from the Mayor in that establishing a sports authority does not commit the city to anything, any financing, or to building a stadium. A little bit of background, and I know that this isn't news to those of you who are on council, but we have been in preliminary discussions with the Tennessee Smokies baseball about the potential of the team moving to Knoxville. And we're really excited about those conversations and excited about the potential that they present. But we're still very early in the process, and the conversations are very preliminary. In order to continue those conversations forward, establishing a sports authority is a necessary step. And so I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, and I apologize, but I just want to make sure to reiterate that establishing a sports authority does not commit us to building a baseball stadium. However, if we were to get to the point of building a baseball stadium or discussing, furthering those discussions, we would need to establish a sports authority. So it's a body that would not necessarily, it wouldn't have any function at this point, and wouldn't be able to obligate the city or the county to any debt or any other type of commitment without explicit direction and a vote by this body, and also the way that we're configuring this by county commission. So this is really intended to be a partnership with county commission. We've been and with the county government. And so we're, again, in the very preliminary stages, looking forward to public discussion as we move the conversation forward, and certainly multiple opportunities if the conversation proceeds, which we hope that it does, multiple opportunities for this body and for county commission as well to weigh in on decisions before any commitments can be made. So Just wanted to provide some of that background. I'm really excited also to be joined by someone who many of us know, Mr. Mark Mamontoff, who we're fortunate to have in Knoxville as Tennessee's really expert from a legal perspective on sports authorities. He's been very involved in establishing them in other parts of the state. So I will stop there.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. Council members, we usually would go to public, the speaker sign up before you all have your discussion and ask more questions and comments. So if that's okay with you all, I'll go ahead and move to the people who signed up to speak to this. There's 4 people who signed up to speak against this. Your rules state 3 for, 3 against. So we'll start with 3 against, and then if you all decide you want to hear from additional speakers, you can have that conversation at that time. That sound good? Okay. First person is Mr. Charles Albawi. Mr. Albawi, you please, if you're on the call, please start by stating your name and address for the record, and you'll have up to 5 minutes. And Mr. Johnson is going to keep the time for us. Mr. Albawi, can you speak up? I don't know if he's been unmuted.
Okay, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
This is Charles Albawi. My address is 1111 Texas Avenue, Knoxville, Tennessee. So there's a lot to discuss. First, I am against this sports authority being created. As the previous speaker just noted, it is a step towards continuing those preliminary conversations. Last year, we ran for city council. There was a clear commitment that we were not going to bring this stadium to Knoxville anytime soon. How quick things have changed. Second, there is already talks about a financial commitment of, I believe, somewhere between $40 and $60 million towards this baseball stadium in the form of public financing, public debt. But when we're about to talk about this urban renewal apology, we do not receive the same commitment. We'll look into grants, we'll see what's available and we'll apply for it, but we're not going to go into public debt for it. However, it is one man who profits from the baseball stadium. It is an entire community that would benefit from the $100 million in urban renewal. This is a flagrant injustice. This is upsetting to me that you all would propose this literally on the same day. I'm not sure whether you see the irony in proposing the sports authority, knowing you're in conversations to get public debt towards the stadium, committing tens of millions of dollars towards this, but you will not commit tens of millions of dollars towards the Black community who owned the land before it was taken in the process of urban renewal. This is the very land that used to be known as the Bottoms. We have to see that. I pray that that is not missed on you all. Look, Mr. Randy Boyd has done a lot of good. Pond Gap, his service learning program, I did that when I was at the University of Tennessee my junior year. I have no doubt Mr. Boyd has the best intentions, but there are higher priorities in the community of Knoxville at this time, whether it is the homeless, whether it is the devastating poverty rate for the Black community, whether it is COVID. We have more urgent matters to attend to than this baseball stadium. Even the proposal, the fact that you want to spend time on this conversation instead of the conversations about the homeless, about COVID, about the Black community, is frustrating. It is frustrating for all those who are working towards establishing a fair and just community. We want the best for everyone, not the best for one individual. And let me just say this. I would like to invite Mr. Boyd to a meeting to discuss a possible collective benefit, a community benefits agreement. My phone number is public. We will set up that meeting with the necessary organizations so we can discuss it. But even that is still with absolutely a no to this right now, and a no matter what to any public funds being spent on this project. But we already know that he has asked for public funds to be spent on his project. So what we would like to do in our urgent time of need is to request